to unveil my new pervy ninjutsu!
Ooh.
Will you knock it off?
Disgusting. Men from all over the anime world dignified themselves for women only to be called one thing: simps. Though it is not entirely the fault of the men who claim us to be simps. Oh no, no, no. You are the ones that are buying the anime merch, supporting the harem anime. I believe in a world where that is no longer the case, and we can enjoy our fapping in peace, and that no one will ever call us simps again. We will rise up to the Twitch thoughts, rise up to the lewd and nude cosplayers, and rise up to the OnlyFans account, as I am an advocate for true gender equality. The equality that all men and women are created equal, and that if a woman says that a man is not being...
Wow, the future really is bleak. Okay, so if you're a big anime fan, then you'll know one company that is notorious for CGI usage, and that is Gonzo. Oh man, these guys have been the butt of jokes for the longest time in the anime community. Believe it or not, this wasn't the first time I cover an anime made by these guys, as I already covered one in the shitty video on Speedgrapher. Should really remake that one at some point. Now, this may be an unpopular opinion, but I don't think Gonzo is a bad anime company. I think these guys are in the right place trying to make some very unique shows. Even at their worst, it's a very entertaining ride despite the possibility of being a train wreck. However, this ain't one of them. Vandread is a unique combination of two genres, mecha and harem. Interesting choice, but this series turned out to be a lot better. This is one of the many anime classes I watched back during my lunch break at school, sitting back on my chair in the quiet library as I watched this sub. Now how could a series such as this manage to combine two genres well? Well, let's find out.
We now go into battle to prove the manhood of the glorious Empire of Terra! Our great forefather Grandpa guided us here. But we will now leave this holy land that we have cultivated with our own hands in order to regain the pride of men. For today, we have a new power in our possession which will change our very history!
At the very beginning, men and women are at war with each other after a massacre that happened a long time ago. Men blame women for the death toll, even if I believe it's the planet Earth citizens, but I'll talk about them later. We follow Hibiki, who is basically a hot-blooded teen who wants to prove his manhood like a big dick measuring contest. However, that is soon put to the test as he and two other men ended up being captured by female pirates. It wasn't long until the two sexes needed to team up as a threat emerges from the depths of space, planning to harvest all of humankind. Now this follows a very cliche plot of factions trying to unite over a common enemy, but what makes it unique for this show is the literal sexism themes they ran with it. Men and women had to deal with each other during this trip back to their home planets, and it's very engaging to see how the two started to respect each other as the episodes went by. The interaction and discovery of how the two can live together became stronger as they visit citizens from planets that don't have the same sexism problems as them. One of the things I can appreciate this anime for is the looming threat of the Harvester, as in each episode, they did not only get more dangerous, but a lot smarter after suffering major defeat from the heroes. Honestly, it's kinda disturbing they are grabbing human body parts just to reform the original humans from Earth. Yeah, Earth is the main enemy and it shows how humanity can be fucking cruel and disgusting. Another point I can praise is how they dealt with the sexism themes throughout the entire show. They don't hold back on this, as men and women had ideas on why they think the other sex is horrible. It actually becomes a conflict more and more as the show goes on. Hell, I can even look past the misunderstandings because it actually makes sense and it doesn't make me want to smash my head into a pike. As time gets more rougher, seeing the two sexes to push aside their differences is a really good payoff, especially at the end. I mean, let's be honest, the mechs combining to another mech is basically an upfront symbol of that. However, this anime is not perfect when the problems became a bit more noticeable, mostly with the fact that I feel that this series sort of rushed its ending a bit. Season 2 really ended up feeling like 2 seasons combined because what we know about the Harvesters and Earth, that never really got a payoff. The climactic battle only really halted their progress of harvesting body parts, but yet they just go, nope, that is all, that's the end. Kinda feels a little bit anticlimactic there. Not to mention that since this is a harem, they of course have to add a new character to spice up the story in the second half, which I'll talk about later. Also, they never really follow up on the beginning with the women killing men by the thousands. I said this earlier that I believe those humans are from Earth harvesting organs from others. It's just odd that they never touch upon that again because while letting things in the past is a given, I don't think the men would really let that by so easily. It does show that maybe a potential season 3 was gonna be for this, but the show long ended before that and it's just really awkward looking back at it. Overall, despite the somewhat heavy second season, the story and themes are pretty good and have kept me engaged a lot just to know how the two will work together.
Is that? What is that? Another secret weapon of the men?
But how? Is this a real miracle?
Okay, time to talk about Gonzo's main claim to fame, CGI animation. A lot of fans always hated when anime studios attempt to do this in their shows because quite frankly, most of it is garbage and is a strain on the eyes. Is Vandread any different from that? Yes, sort of. You see, the animation differs depending on the environment the characters are in. When they're inside spaceships or on planets, they're drawn in 2D animation. Anything in space, it's all CGI, and I gotta admit that is a good balance. Now, is the CGI not a strain into your eyes? Yeah, it's not, at least for the most part. You can tell that there's some jank in the movements, but the action is so good. For CGI, it does look very smooth, especially when a lot happens during the battle scenes. They are just pure eye candy spectacles, even back for its time. One thing I have to give credit is the Harvester designs. They really went all out on these guys. There are so many unique kinds of Harvesters, and I especially like it when they take copies of the mechs they're fighting with their own designs. Character looks, they are pretty good, with my favorite being Jurek, and can you honestly tell why? Now, not all the girls are drawn like her, and there is a nice variety of clothes they wear. So overall, what sounds bad on paper turned out to be really good. It's certainly better than the other shows dealing with CGI during this time.
I mean, when I fought in this thing the first time, it's only because of what you said to me back then, and that's the reason I've been able to survive. It's pretty pathetic, actually, but I really couldn't come up with any proof of my existence. But then, you opened my eyes and got me to start thinking, instead of being such a reckless, tough guy loser.
Now comes the music, and really, I don't have much to say here. Gonzo does have great tunes, but here it's just mostly there. Really, I don't believe anything from the soundtrack really stands out, but at the very least, it fits within certain moods it wants to portray. This just leaves us with the opening and ending themes, and to get this out of the way, the second opening and ending themes are not that good or memorable to me. Really not impressed with the dubstep-like track since I already heard a much better one, and the second ending theme just kinda puts me to sleep at times. It really makes me appreciate the first opening, which shows his high-pack energy and animation. But the real star of the show is the first ending theme called Himigoto. At least I hope that's how it's pronounced. I'm really sorry if I butchered it. This song is so perfect. The soft tone and sexy theme of it all is pretty relaxing to the ears while keeping me awake for most of it. Basically an upfront definition of an eargasm. That and it's kinda funny seeing Hibiki getting pushed around by these girls. Overall, other than the first opening and ending theme, the music is just okay at best.
It's my own fault. Even if he was a liar and a cheater, if he'd really wanted to, I would have been a dead duck. I hate to admit this.
いや、俺が甘かった。卑怯だろうがなんだろうが、あいつが本気だったら俺はとっくに落ちんでた。悔しいけど。
Just to say this, folks, I'm going to judge this fair and square despite what happened to Funimation as of now. Look, I know it's easy to hate on them, but that's not going to be the focus here. Okay, when it comes to the dub, you can tell that it's still early Funimation quality. Now, don't get me wrong, the voice acting is super high quality back then, but you can still tell that there's rough around the edges with a lot of characters, even if it matches their personalities. Hibiki's voice took me a bit, but I did end up liking it. He is the hot-blooded teen, so I expect him to get a voice like this. I do think his issues lie on the fact that he just sounds so annoyed all the time compared to his Japanese counterpart. It did get a little better later on, but you could still hear the annoyance in almost any situation.
But it doesn't mean that you'll always get an answer. What's important to remember is that when it's all said and done and you got through it all somehow, were you the person you wanted to be? I know you're worried, but let Duello take care of her. The only thing that we should think about is protecting the ship and the sickbay that your leader's in, don't you think?
As for the main support harem leads and the main love interest, their voices are at least better compared to Hibiki. Sure, Dita might hit the annoying spot with me, but like Hibiki, she is a teenager, so the voice very much fits her character a lot. I just think her Japanese actor is a lot more smoother when it comes to the high-pitched characters like her, but hey, kudos Julie for being able to sound serious when she can.
And then he said I was in the way and told me to get out of his room. I mean, I was just trying to make Mr. Alien happy, you know? But all I do is make him mad.
Dita.
Jura and Maya also hit the right notes within their voices: arrogant, brash, and for Jura's case, seductive. Many other side characters such as the cruise ship members and the leader of them all did good jobs. Personally, I like Bart's voice more than the Japanese because it kinda sounds funny. Seriously, just listen and you know you can take this guy out for some beers and have a great time even if he's bullshitting everything that he says.
And all of a sudden, boom, the male ship and the female ship fused together. It was then that the strange aliens began to attack. And that's when I turned the situation around.
How do you do it?
Well, it was a plan that only I and I alone could possibly have thought of. We executed a space jump.
All in all, despite the rough around the edges, I think the dub managed to be in good quality. If you can deal with Hibiki's voice since he is the main character here, I do recommend a listen.
I guess that's true. Sorry for interrupting. I'll see ya.
Clichés are always the breaking point when it comes to watching certain shows. To me, I don't mind a show being by the numbers as long as the characters have something more than just their supposed stereotypes. Vandread's characters, while not completely out of the stereotypes by the end, did at least have a lot of progress despite their character types. Let's start off with Hibiki, who is again the hot-blooded headed teen. He has basically wanted to prove himself while trying to learn more about what he is in the world. Yeah, that sounds very cliche in and of itself, and it basically is. However, it does work in his favor because we do see the journey and how all the other characters around him change his way of thinking for the better, even if they made it clear by the end that he is a prince. Now, I don't have much of a problem with this, as unlike most other shows that pull this plot twist, he at least earned his way to the top rather than other characters giving him the easy way out. Still, why have this when he already is the underdog stereotype? Honestly, they really shouldn't have given Hibiki that kind of background when it's already shown that he was part of the human excavation when he was a baby. I just found those "oh, you're secretly royalty" to be just a cheap way of making a character interesting. Now we go to the harem leads, which is nothing but complete of 3 girls that wanted to support the main character in different ways. Jura is basically the hot blonde who wants her way with him. Now, she does go through a lot, and I tell ya, she doesn't take shit kindly when Hibiki backtalks to her. I will say her and Burnett have a really cute relationship that can be pretty funny sometimes. Also, yes, it's kinda creepy when she tries to hit on Hibiki because, you know, Hibiki's a teenager, and she is a adult here. Just wait in the corner, Chris Hansen will get her soon enough. Then we have Maya, who's basically the commander who takes no shit and always does things by herself. You could say that she is the tsundere of the show, but quite frankly, she is the most developed harem member of the cast. Once not able to smile or show any kind of emotion, is now able to thanks to Hibiki. Her backstory is a lot tragic, knowing that she grew up living a hard life during those protests. She blamed herself for not doing anything and didn't want the same burden again on the crewmates, which is why she is so distant after her parents' deaths. Really, I feel the most proud of her by the end of the series, especially with how she opens up to everyone, including Hibiki. Then we have the main girl herself, Dita, the bubbly personality who thinks men are aliens from another planet, which is just adorable. Like Hibiki, she also went through a lot of change, knowing more to stand up for herself and trying to express her real feelings. Really, it's quite obvious the two would end up together by the end, and nothing shows that more with how they first combined their mechs. I will admit it does get repetitive with the back and forth of those two, but in context, it does make a lot of sense since it's men and women first interacting like this. The rest of the crew ain't no slouch either. While some get more development than others, they don't really feel worthless. Every single crew member at least had some reason of being there, including the little child, and yes, I say child because I don't ever want to associate the other word. Some of these characters do get their moments to shine, like Bart, who, while not one to change entirely, went full-on badass mode defending an innocent planet of a little girl who found him cool. Mangno, which I hope I pronounce it right, is also another cool character. An old granny who knows how to run a crew and brings the best out of everyone, showing once again that old age doesn't mean you just sit back and watch. Then there's Kalissa, and I only wanted to mention her for one reason. She is a transgender. Yeah, I was kinda shocked by that too when I saw this episode. Now back then, I hardly know what trans people are, but in the modern day context, this dude literally replaced her male parts for female to spy on the crew but ended up growing respect for them. And people say that anime ain't diverse when it wants to. Also, I have to ask, what is it with harems adding another female to the main character roster? I honestly do not understand that, but Misty isn't entirely bad herself. I'll give her that she has a good reason on why she falls for Hibiki so quickly. Let's be frank, how many times have you seen harems that add a new female character to spice up the drama? At least here, she doesn't feel random at the last second. Not to mention her subplot with Hibiki and Dita has an edge to the fact that she came from a planet where men and women are together. One thing I did wish the anime did more is the sister relationship with Maya. I think that would have been so much more had there been more screen time other than just one episode. But this all ties in on what makes the characters a lot more interesting, and it's the fact that sexism has a major focus here. No, I'm not talking about what sexism is today, I mean sexism in not knowing either gender's important roles. Something that actually gives the world a bit more identity in the anime without going so blatant on real life. It makes all the cliches such as misunderstandings, fan service, and many others that you can account as cheap shots being turned around in its head. It managed to make them bearable as the two sexes attempt to trust each other and to fight against the one common threat. Really, what I'm saying is that context does help this a lot, especially when the cliches used here are mostly the bad ones. At least the ones that are integrated in the newer animes as each year keeps passing by. Really, I think the major issue is that we don't get enough of this. I mentioned this in the story section, but it really feels like there is still more to tackle, and with no season 3, it's kinda saddening. I really do want to see how men and women attempt to live together and see how all the characters are now, along with their possibility of the final battle against Earth. I will say that if the show stopped here, I guess it's a good way to end it. Still, not having to show what happens after, but rather finding that in a light novel of all things, just kinda annoys me. Also, I wish they kept Gascon dead instead of a fake out. Yeah, I'm kinda annoyed by that when her death is supposed to have a major effect and actually show they're not invincible. Cool character in her own right, but kinda falls on the no one dies syndrome. All in all, I did like the characters enough and its setting really helped. This will always be my first taste of the mecha genre and the best one in the harem genre as well. I rewatched this so many times and still look back at it fondly. Vandread will always be an anime that solidifies Gonzo's track record of making some unique animes during the 2000s. Even if you find the CGI awkward and laughable, you have to give them credit for the fact that they did try when it comes to their shows. It does make me want to see all the other animes they made out of curiosity, so thanks Vandread. I give this anime a 4 out of 5. Great! Could have been a little higher had it actually had a 3rd season. This is the Animewolfgamer, and I hope the next day, or the next month, will be even better. See ya.